What is up, guys? Welcome back into Kurt Magoosh and Slaughterhouse Sports. We're going to talk about today Daniel Jones, New York Giants. He now has competition in Tyrod Taylor. So Tyrod Taylor, you look at Tyrod as a quarterback in this league, and he's a veteran. He's played about 32. He's about 32, 33 years old. And, what I look at here with Daniel Jones, this is more an indictment on Jones than it is about Tyrod Taylor. I mean, Daniel Jones is a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's 12-25, his record, which is an abysmal record. Each year, Daniel Jones has only eclipsed the 3,000-yard marker one time. It was actually with Pat Shurmur, and there he threw 24 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. Other than that, he's throwing 11 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns. So, Daniel Jones as a quarterback in this league has just everything with Daniel Jones has not gone well. I mean, the team's not winning. He's not producing big numbers. The team is not scoring large amounts of points. You look at Daniel Jones even when he went to the LA Rams during the first year of Joe Judge with Jason Garrett. The defense plays great in LA with Jared Goff, forces him to like 18 points. The team loses by 8. Against the Chicago Bears, second half, they shut down Mitchell Trubisky on the road. Daniel Jones can't win that game. Against Atlanta, a really bad team. The defense holds them to 17 points. Daniel Jones can only put up 14 points. So Daniel Jones has a lack of ability throwing the football down the field. Daniel Jones has a lack of ability noticing pocket pressure. I mean, he fumbles the ball a lot. He throws interceptions. But Daniel Jones, just because he runs a fast 40 time doesn't mean that it's good football instincts. He always throws off of his back foot. So Daniel Jones does not have a strong arm. He is tall. He can see defenses. He can throw slants. But the thing about Daniel Jones is you're missing that explosive part of a passing game, which is what which is what Josh Allen brought to you. Now, Tyrod Taylor is a decent placeholder as a quarterback. He doesn't have a huge arm either. He's only 6'1" in stature. He's a bridge quarterback. All right. He was in Buffalo. He didn't really have that. Surge that allowed him to really be the long-term quarterback. But Daniel Jones, what he's done in New York is he's lost, and he's lost at a high clip. I mean, he's 12-25 as a starter. This offense hasn't been effective. You had Kyle Rudolph. You had Evan Ingram. I know that Galladay got injured, but you still had Tony. You have Sterling Shepard. You do have wide receivers. You do have talent on this offense, and Daniel Jones was not able to make it happen, and defenses were able to load the box for Saquon Barkley. So now with the Giants, with them paying $8 million to a viable quarterback in Tyrod Taylor, who does have experience in this league, it sends a message to Jones, and I, for one, don't believe in Jones. I don't believe in Jones because I've had 4 years of chances with Daniel Jones. And I got on the fan base of the New York Giants early on. I believe that they treated the 6th-round pick out of Duke unfairly. He was 6'5". He didn't play with the best wide receivers at the University of Duke. He played in a tough ACC, even though he didn't win at the highest clip. And New York Giants fans, I doubt that they were watching ACC Network anyway. So the New York Giants fans, they flipped out, but they didn't really know the prospect in the same way that the Chargers fans flipped out on Justin Herbert because they wanted Tua Tagovailoa, and now they pretend like they wanted Herbert all along. So the point is with the New York Giants and with Daniel Jones is that he hasn't been successful, and he has failed massively. And the coaching staff's gotten fired. Offensive coordinators have gotten fired. He's been the constant here. But meanwhile, the owners and everybody of the New York Giants believes that Jones can still turn it around. I am happy now that he does not have Mike Glennon as a backup. He does not have you really look at the backup quarterbacks that Daniel Jones has had. It was Colt McCoy, who's not a threat, and Mike Glennon, who's not a threat. And now you get Tyrod Taylor, who, if things are going very south, Tyrod Taylor's going to get the nod for the majority of the season. So it puts pressure on Jones to play well. And if the Giants feel like Malik Willis is the right pick in this draft, this is a GM in Joe Shane and a coordinator in Brian Dable. They are not attached to Daniel Jones. It's a clean sweep from the Gettleman era. So if they believe that Malik Willis is a guy, listen, with that second pick, the 7th pick, or even the 5th pick, Malik Willis has elite traits that Daniel Jones doesn't have. Malik Willis can throw the football. Malik Willis has a very, very strong arm, which Daniel Jones does not have. Malik Willis has elite running ability and has great instincts. Again, Daniel Jones can run a fast 40 time, but Daniel Jones is not overpowering guys. Malik Willis can power through defensive players. Malik Willis can run with the football. Malik Willis can juke. He's very agile running with the ball. Daniel Jones is a runner, again, gets hurt. Daniel Jones is not a viable really running with the run read option. I don't think that that's a way that Daniel Jones is going to be a consistent player in this league. And Daniel Jones has gotten 3 years just like Darnold, and he hasn't won. And he hasn't been good. All right, he was just like Tannehill in Miami. You know, the team hasn't even gotten close to a playoff run in a very weak division with Daniel Jones. He gets injured. He throws interceptions. Even when the defense plays all right, even when the defense plays well against the Kansas City Chiefs, against the Tampa Bay Bucks, Daniel Jones is nowhere to be had. Both years against the Bucks. So the defense has given the Giants with Patrick Graham. They've given Daniel Jones chances to win. The offense doesn't produce. He doesn't throw for big plays. He doesn't hunt for explosive plays. He always checks it down on third down. He hasn't been a very good quarterback, and people are going to blame the offensive line. They're going to blame everything externally, and they're not going to look inwards to Daniel Jones has not been good. They're going to blame that offensive line. They're going to blame Jason Garrett. And, you know, they're going to blame Dave Gettleman, and they're going to blame all these other factors, and then they think that Daniel Jones is just going to turn around and be really, really, really solid. All right? It very rarely works. Look at Ryan Tannehill in Miami. He wasn't very good. And then he was a backup quarterback. Then he got with Arthur Smith. He got with the best running back in the league, and he's been an all right player. I guess you could say Matthew Stafford, but Stafford at least had the big arm, would make explosive plays to Calvin Johnson. Matt Stafford at least has elite traits, and Ryan Tannehill, even as a passer, is a very, very aggressive passer. And Ryan Tannehill's an all right quarterback. You put Ryan Tannehill on other teams, he's not even producing that well. You look at Darnold, you look at Daniel Jones kind of in the same breath, and I believe that this is a good signing because, again, if you bring in a rookie, Tyrod Taylor is there. You add depth. You put the pressure on Jones. If Jones is not performing well, then put in Tyrod and get ready for the next quarterback. So, again, Jones, maybe you get 5 games with Brian Daboll, but this is really good competition. You add some mentorship to the room. You add a very intelligent quarterback, to this room, and you add a mobile quarterback that is capable of playing and playing decently well in the league. And this is a good decision by the New York Giants here, in this case here, with bringing in Tyrod Taylor. And my prediction is that I believe Tyrod Taylor, after about 7 or 8 games, Tyrod Taylor might be the guy. And this also allows you with the 5th or the 7th pick, it gives you options because Tyrod Taylor is that really good quarterback, that he's been around Baker, he's been around Justin Herbert. So he does know how to start, how to go into that role. Every quarterback gets better around Tyrod, well, even Davis Mills with the Texans. So this is a guy who's seen a lot of football. It's a guy who's going to add a lot, to Shea Tierney, to Mike Kafka. This is a really good signing by the New York Giants here. Get him on an affordable deal, and he's going to have a chance. And they're going to be competing in training camp because, again, Daniel Jones has had 3 years. He's never won. And that's the key. He's never won games. And the statistics and the offense has just been dreadful. And the only people that are saying Jones are going to be good are the ones blaming everything on the external factors. And I just frankly, I see just flaws in his game. I see flaws with turnovers, throwing off of his back foot, making mistakes, and he doesn't have that strong arm to really scare defenses. He's not scaring defenses with down the field. He's not driving it into tight windows. He's not taking risks. Every time the Giants are on the 30-yard line, they're not going for pay dirt. They're not taking shots at the end zone, and that is a problem. That Saints game is an anomaly. It's not the Daniel Jones that has always been there.